Greetings, this is Colima of La Danse Macabre, and tonight we're going to look at LDM fighting Lady Deathwhisper. Lady Deathwhisper is a two-stage fight. The first stage, she has a mana shield up around her, making it impossible to deal any damage to her hit points, but you can deal damage to the mana she has, and thus getting her down so you can start phase 2, which is the phase where you deal damage to her hit points. During phase 1, Lady Deathwhisper will summon 3 adds to either her left or her right side. She will start at the left side, summoning 2 melee adds and 1 spellcaster, and then to her right side, summoning 2 spellcasters and 1 melee. The melee adds can be nuked by anyone up until the time they die or they are transformed into skeletons. When they're transformed into skeletons, they will be immune to melee damage, and thus you need to deal spell damage to them. During this fight, most of the attacks from a hunter is considered melee damage, but they have some spells that are working on the melee guys actually, but those are few. The spell casting guys can be nuked by anyone until they get a spell reflect shield up. After that time, any spells cast at them will only be reflected to the caster of that spell, and thus it is important that you nuke these down with melee. Lady Deathwhisper can also put 2 different types of buffs on these adds. One buff will transform the add into a skeleton, in which case it will be totally immune to the damage they deal themselves. Melee guys will be totally immune to melee. Spellcasting guys will be totally immune to spellcasting. They will also hit a little bit harder and they will gain full hit points, so you need to nuke them down with the respective damage dealer that is needed for them. You can easily identify the type of add by looking at their mana bar. If they are mana users, then you have a spellcaster. If they are non-mana users, you have a melee guy. They can also be transformed into deformed ones, which you can see that I'm shooting at here. The deformed ones are hitting very, very hard and has to be kited around the room. They cannot be tanked, and it's really hard for melee to hit them, because if they over aggro, the deformed one will most likely one-shot them. During both phase 1 and phase 2, Lady Deathwhisper will also put green Death and Decays on the floor. Now these deal quite a lot of damage. If you are not in tier 10 gear or equivalent, you should try to move out as fast as possible. Stop your spellcasting and move directly. If you are in tier 10, you have a little bit more hit points and can survive for a little while, but it is still recommended to move as fast as possible. Since when the spell shield around Lady Deathwhisper vanishes, we go into phase 2, and phase 2 does not contain any more spawning of adds. It is preferable if you time the spell shield drop so that you don't have any adds in the room when she moves into phase 2. During phase 2, apart from the Death and Decays that she did already in phase 1, she will also summon ghost adds. These ghost adds cannot be nuked down, and they are dealing quite a lot of damage to the people that they target and get to. So move away from the ghost adds. She will also cast 2 types of frostbolt. Either a frostbolt that will hit everyone in the raid. This is a non-interruptible frostbolt and should just be taken and dealt with by the healers. But she also has a 1 target frostbolt, which will almost always target the tanks. This has to be interrupted because it deals very much damage and is a big problem for the healers. Other than that, it's just to nuke her down and celebrate.